Hello, and welcome to another episode of CGN Live. This is CGN Live episode 6, I believe. If you're in the chat, please say hello. Let me know you can see everything all right. Get my second screen going. So my name is Taylor Talks Comics. I'm the social media guy for Cheap Graphic Novels, and we've been doing a live episode at least once a week to show off the books that come out the following week. So today we'll be talking about the books that come out next. They'll be live on the website next Monday, which is the 13th. So the week of the March 13th through March 18th. These books will be live that night. Be sure to follow us on social media at CheapGN on Instagram and Twitter. And you'll be able to, and I always make a post whenever they go, like the minute they go live. Max from CGN sends me a text and says, hey, the books are live. I make a post about it, and then you guys can go shop for these. And I always like to bring some books with me to show off some of the contents that's either relevant to the books that are coming out next week or is the actual contents. We have some books that have been previously released in other formats that I can show off today. So we'll be doing that. Again, if you're in the chat, please say hello. And I always like to talk about what you've been reading lately, especially comic books you've been reading. So drop those in the chat too. So we make this a little bit of an interactive show. And we can get started. And if you have any questions too, any cheap graphic novels related questions, I can answer those for you as well. Max is always just a text message or phone call away if it's an immediate question that I don't know the answer to. I won't be able to answer any questions related to your specific order. So if you've placed an order with CGN and you want to know the status of it or anything like that, I can't do that. I'm actually not at the CGN headquarters. But anything else about the website, about release dates, about what's coming out when, I can answer all those questions. Especially if you want to know if something's in stock too, I can look that up for you and we can talk about that as well. So drop all that stuff in the chat. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Last week we hit our goal of 100 subscribers, which is a pretty big deal for only being less than 3 weeks old, this channel, and only doing live content because YouTube hasn't been really, they don't share a lot of the live videos. So we only have one non-live video on the channel right now, but I'm going to do more of those too. I'm going to do some evergreen material that we can have live on the channel, especially specific to the website itself and that kind of thing, so that customers can go there and learn more about the great website that is cheapgraphicnovels.com. We have someone in the chat already. Real American Brian. I've been reading a lot of fables lately. Oh, Brian, I didn't know you, is this your first time reading fables? I've never read fables. That's a series that's on my long list of comics I want to read, but I haven't gotten into lately. I know the fables box set just came out last week, and I believe we still have that in stock. If anybody's been interested in that, it's a really beautiful box set that collects all of the compendiums, the 4 compendiums that DC released last year. So it's pretty cool. But yeah. Okay, I lost the picture there for a second, but I think we're still good. So let's go ahead and go on to Cheap Graphic Novels website. Share screen. All right, let me check the cameras, make sure we can see that. Okay. Sorry, there's a little bit of a delay. I'm trying to make sure that we can see it on the camera. A-okay. All right, there it is, but I need to change it to this format so you guys can see the website better. Right, up first we have Aliens, the Original Years Omnibus, Volume 4. Wrote Real quick, you're going to see when I'm going through these today that it says out of stock right here. That's just because the books aren't live yet. The minute they go live on Monday, like I said, it'll say add to order here. But these are both, we have both covers here. So the standard edition cover is the standard edition is James Stokoe. This is the DM cover. This is by Donda. I'm not familiar with that artist. Let me see. Try and pull it up here. There it is. And this is both covers are only $74.99 each, so it's $50 off, 40% off at CGN. Just my opinion, this is the cover to get. And this is by James Stokoe, and this is one of the books I have to show off today. So volume 4 here, it collects a lot. All right, it collects Aliens, Fast Track to Heaven, Colonial Marines, No Man Left Behind, Isolation, Defiance. Oh, it includes Defiance. Wow. All right. I didn't realize, man, they're getting really recent stuff here. And then Aliens Dead Orbit 1 through 4, Dust to Dust 1 through 4, Resistance 1 through 4, Rescue 1 through 4, the original screenplay 1 through 5, Alien 3, the unproduced screenplay 1 through 5. Bonus material from Dark Horse Presents 12 through 17, and Free Comic Book Day 2016 Aliens. All right, so this is the first one I want to show off here. So I'm going to stop sharing. So the reason why I said the James Stokoe cover is because I'm a big fan of the Aliens comics in general. I've collected pretty much all the Dark Horse releases of them. Marvel's been doing the omnibuses, and I haven't dipped into those omnibuses yet, even though I don't know. I think about it all the time because there's 4. This is the 4th volume, and they're like 4 thick omnibuses of all the Aliens comics from Dark Horse. And like I said, this one that comes out next week has like some of the most recent Dark Horse stuff that like literally Dark Horse just printed a few years ago. But it includes this, and that's Aliens Dead Orbit. This is my absolute favorite Aliens comic. So I've read quite a few Aliens comics, and this is what's my favorite. James Stokoe is just a master artist. He is one of my favorite current artists going today. His level of detail that he puts in his images is just absolutely insane. This release here that I'm showing off is out of print. This is from Dark Horse. This is like a library edition sized. Look at that. It's amazing. Library edition size, but it'll be collected in this omnibus. And I just want to show off some of the artwork because the artwork will be the same. Some great chest bursting action there. But James Stokoe is just an insane cartoonist. Like, there's his xenomorph. And if you've never read Aliens Dead Orbit, if you only read one Aliens comic, I would recommend this one. It's a self-contained story. Spaceship right there. Look at that. It's a self-contained story. It's only 4 issues. And James Stokoe's like I said, it's insanely detailed artwork, and it really fits into the mood of Aliens, which is like one of the big fear. Like obviously, it's a horror comic. It's a horror story. One of the big like aspects of that is that it's like claustrophobia. Like you're stuck on a spaceship. Like this infinite amount of space is all around you, but you're stuck on this spaceship. So his level of detail in his art kind of adds a lot to that aspect of claustrophobia because it fills in the pages with this pin marks and stuff, color and whatnot. So I don't know. I absolutely love that one. And then it also includes this, which is Alien, the screenplay by Dan O'Bannon. This was like, I think this might be the Aliens before Marvel took over the license, but this is the actual Dan O'Bannon screenplay with art by Cristiano Cezas, and I'm going to butcher this, Guilherme Balbi. But this is based off the original screenplay, and it even has like the original xenomorph designs, like pre someone could correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is before H.R. Geiger did the designs for him. So that's what their xenomorph looks like. So very, very, very different. So this is included as well into this omnibus. And I think that's all I have for print media. Aliens Defiance was really good too. I know I used to have that hardcover as well. So this is like the most recent stuff. I don't know that if they do a 5th volume, we'll see. I think this might be the last one, because the only other Aliens comics I could think of that are not included in this on the 4-volume omnibuses that are here, I think are all Aliens versus Predator, which might be a separate omnibus line. Like I know they had the big Dan Abnett storyline that was fire and oh shoot, I'm gonna butcher this. It's fire and water, and then I don't know. It was a big crossover though, and it was like Aliens, Predator, Prometheus, and then Aliens versus Predator versus Prometheus, and it all crossed over into a big story. Dark Horse released 2 oversized hardcovers of the entire story, I guess, if you will. I guess you can fit that into one omnibus too, but that'd probably be called not Aliens. It'd be Aliens versus Predator. So those are that's the first Aliens release of the week. That's not the only one though. But yeah, that James Stokoe story in there is amazing. The original screenplay is a lot of fun just because it's a kind of an alternate take on Aliens, because it's not the exact screenplay that we all loved and saw. But I love Aliens comics. They're great horror comics. If you're into the movie series, then you might be into those two. You might want to try them out. Star Wars Legends, The Rebellion Omnibus Volume 1. We have 2 covers here. We have one by Fleming, which is the DM cover, and then I'm assuming Alex Ross does the standard edition cover here. Yeah, so this is a more Dark Horse era stuff. That's why that has the Legends tag on it. So the Rebellion. This includes Star Wars Empire 7, 14, 16 through 27, Vader's Quest 1 through 4, Star Wars from 2013 1 through 20, Star Wars Kids 1 through 11 and 12, and 13 through 20. So this includes looks like a few things from 1997 to 2013. All Dark Horse era stuff, though. Let me know if you guys have read that material and what you think of it. But that's volume 1. I'm assuming there'll be future volumes. Then we have the Marvel Masterworks, the Uncanny X-Men volume 15. We have 2 different cover options here. Oh wait, why did I do that? As always with these Marvel Masterworks, there's always 2 cover options. This is the one that the DM variant that says the 339th volume, because that volume number includes every Masterworks ever. So there's been 339 released. And then the other cover here is just for just the X-Men, and I'll say volume 15 on it. But this is still Chris Claremont era, but this is when Mark Silvestri jumps on. Includes Uncanny X-Men 220 through 231, X-Men Annual 11, and then X-Men versus Avengers 1 through 4, and material from Best of Marvel Comics. So this includes Fall of Mutants. That's the big event happening in this era of X-Men. If you're a Masterworks collector, let me know. We haven't gotten to the era in the Epic collections yet of X-Men, so I don't have that content, but I know that's in the Fall of Mutants Omnibus if you're an X-Men Omnibus collector. Then we have the Sonic the Hedgehog IDW Collection Volume 3. These are the oversized hardcovers for the Sonic series that IDW is doing. And they seem to be really focusing on this property. I think with the loss of G.I. Joe and Transformers, they have to focus in on another licensed property, and Sonic seems to be one of them. So they've been releasing it, and they look really nice hardcovers. I would like to read this series. Maybe with my son, he might get a kick out of it. So let me know if you've been reading the Sonic series and what you think of it. I know people really tout the old Archie series, but that hasn't been, that's out of print. It hasn't been reprinted in quite a while. Oh, am I still? Okay, I thought I was no longer live. This includes issues 21 through 32 in the 2020 annual from volumes 6 through 8. Next, we've got an Epic Collection from Star Wars. Star Wars Legends Epic Collection, The Old Republic, Volume 5. And I'm not as well versed on the... I keep doing that. I'm not as well versed on the Star Wars comics in general, but I believe this might be the last volume of these Epic Collections for The Old Republic. Again, someone correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, if you're watching this later, or in the chat. But this includes Star Wars Knight Errant 1 through 5, Knight Errant Deluge 1 through 5, Star Wars Knight Errant Escape 1 through 5, and then Star Wars Jedi vs. Sith 1 through 6, and material from Star Wars Tales 16. So it's got the Legends tag on it, so this is more Dark Horse era stuff. And it looks to be newer material. And I mean, by newer, I mean like recent material. Then we have Adam Strange Between Two Worlds. So this is a release I'm really interested in. I've read the Adam Strange Silver Age Omnibus, which I really loved. It was like, if you're into like Silver Age era sci-fi pulp adventures, I highly recommend checking that omnibus down. I don't think we have it in stock, but I can check. Drop that in the comments if you want me to. But this is new stuff. This is from JLA. This is 1990s stuff. Yes, because I believe this in... Okay, maybe this is a couple different eras. Let me see. Discover the man behind the myth, childhood explored, relationship with a strange family. Deluxe edition hardcover reprints the 3-issue 1990 prestige format miniseries by Richard Brunning and Andy Kubert, with additional tales from Mark Waid and Andy Diggle. Okay, so this is like a few different eras of stuff, but it's a total of 13 issues of Adam Strange comics. So in 1990, there was a 3-issue prestige format miniseries with Andy Kubert on art. And it includes JLA 20 through 21, which I believe is the Mark Waid run that takes place during the Grant Morrison era, if I'm not mistaken. I've got the omnibus here. Let me see. It doesn't say on the back. Cool. But Mark Waid being there, and it says JLA, I think that's the era where Grant Morrison's on JLA, but he took a few issues off for Mark Waid to jump in on. And then Adam Strange 1 through 8 from 2004, I think it's the Andy Diggle run. So a few different Adam Strange runs. He's a really cool character, so I might have to pick this up just because I'm interested in reading maybe newer material. This is an awesome book here. So this is Confabulation, an anecdotal autobiography hardcover. It's by Dave Gibbons, published by Dark Horse. This is only $27.99, 30% off. You get $12 off there on the website. Cheap graphic novels. And you can see on the cover there, it looks like we got Watchmen, Batman, Green Lantern, Martha Washington, and then on the bottom right, it looks like a maybe early childhood drawing of Superman. But I want to get this book in my hands because I love Dave Gibbons' art. Watchmen's my favorite comic book of all time. And this includes, it seems like a great coffee table book that has, it says it's packed with 300 iconic, rarely seen, and unpublished art pieces and photographs. And I know one of the taglines for this I saw, Doctor Who, I think that's one of the images on the cover there. One of the taglines I saw was that this includes the reason why he doesn't talk to Alan Moore anymore, or something like that. It's just funny that was the, seems kind of like a tabloid pitch to buy this book, but that's an interesting anecdote in itself, though. So it's like an autobiography. I think there's probably like written essay kind of things plus artwork. All that sounds awesome. I have the Watching the Watchmen coffee table book that Chip Kidd was a designer on, and it includes a lot of these like behind the scenes artwork of Watchmen plus anecdotes from Dave Gibbons and whatnot. And he's a really fascinating kind of storyteller. Like he's a fascinating storyteller in the fact that and by like behind the scenes storyteller. So I think this would be a very interesting read as well. But I definitely want to pick that up. And then next we have Tokyo Ghost Deluxe Edition, new printing. This is a huge deal. This is long out of print. Then this has 3 amazing people in comics working, amazing talents from comics working on this book. Tokyo Ghost Deluxe Edition, so it's like way oversized. It's like the Reminder sized editions. I don't think I have any Reminder books within reach. Yeah, because they're all over there because they're taller than, they're like Dark Horse Library sized is how big they are. This is written by Rick Remender. Artist is Sean Murphy, and the colorist is Matt Hollingsworth. Rick Remender and Sean Murphy are obviously giants in the industry right now. Matt Hollingsworth, I always want to highlight him because I think he's one of the best colorists in comics right now. Owen, I see you're in the chat. Matt Hollingsworth was the colorist on Preacher, I believe, which is one of your favorite comics. So big kudos to him there. But this includes Tokyo Ghost 1 through 10, plus extra content, variants, designs, sketches, bonus material. So this is all an all-in-one, one-and-done book. You just need this one hardcover. A little bit about it. The Isles of Los Angeles, 2089. Humanity is addicted to technology. Getting a virtual buzz is the only thing left to live for, and gangsters run it all. And who do these gangsters turn to when they need their rule enforced? So it's like a futuristic sci-fi comic book, but with like social commentary on our addiction to technology, which is still relevant today, even though we're not into the year 2089 just yet. Up next, oh, sorry. Did I say the price on that one? That's $27.99. So get that for $12 off. Up next, we have these thick trade paperbacks of JSA by Jeff Johns. This is volume 5. It looks like David Goyer wrote some of these issues as well. Artists are Rags Morales and Leonard Kirk, Don Kramer, and Sal Belluto. So this is the JSA. Includes issues 46 through 58 and Hawkman 23 through 25. So it looks to be about 15 issues, if my math is right there. But the JSA, if you're not familiar, is like the Golden Age superheroes. But this is Jeff Johns taking those Golden Age superheroes into a modern storytelling sensibility kind of thing. This is a run that I've been wanting to read a lot because I love Golden Age comics and just like a modernization of them. I definitely want to read. And this, you can just look at the cover here. You see Captain Marvel, aka Shazam there. Golden Age Flash, Golden Age Green Lantern, Hawkman, Dr. Fate's in there. So I've read Silver Age Flash and Silver Age Green Lantern, but I've never read like the Golden Age versions of those characters. So I'd like to dig into that. Let me know if you're picking that one up. I know that one, like they released like volumes 1 through 4, and it seemed like the line was dead. So people are really happy that they are continuing these thick trades of this. This is only $23.99. You get that for $16 off at CGN next week. Next one is Aliens, the Original Years Epic Collection Volume 1. So this is Aliens coming to the Epic Collection line. And this is Volume 1, so this includes the very first Aliens comics. And this is what I'm going to stop sharing again because I've got some stuff to show off here for this one. So Dark Horse, when they had the license, released these like library edition sized Aliens books that so if you have these, or if you've seen these around, these two, like the black one and the blue one, this Epic Collection includes just about everything in these two hardcovers. But it's going to be a little bit different because, as you can see, the original Aliens comics were in black and white with like really cool duotone or duo shade coloring. But these are amazing comics. These are what got me hooked on Aliens comics, was this original series. It's a great xenomorph. In this Dark Horse release. So what's going to be different about this Epic Collection is that Marvel is using the colorized version of these comics. So it's just the first the first series, which I think was 6 issues. Yeah, the first 6-issue series that was black and white. Then going forward, they were all in color. And then since then, they have gone back and recolored these black and white comics. Just show off some more of the artwork. This first series, though, was by Mark Verheiden and Mark A. Nelson. Mark A. Nelson's an incredible artist. You might not be familiar with him as an artist in comics because he went on to do storyboards in Hollywood, which unfortunately paid more than doing comics because he's really just amazing artist. But this is what got me hooked on Aliens comics. So the things that are going to be different are that they're going to be in color in the Epic Collection. If you have like the previously released Marvel Omnibus of Volume 1, you'll see that they're in color. But the other thing that's different is going to be they've gone back and renamed some characters, renamed some of the characters. So when Dark Horse originally had the license for these comics, they didn't have the license for the characters. So like Newt and I'm trying to think of the other names. They had to change some of the names of the characters from the movies because these are not film adaptations. This first one takes place right after Alien, the first Alien movie is when the first comic takes place. So it's kind of a Aliens, the James Cameron movie hadn't come out yet. The second movie. So this is kind of like the sequel to the movie. The first movie is when this came out. And they took those same characters from the first movie and like continued them or had like people that were related to those characters. But they had to change the names. So Marvel has gone back and changed them back to the proper names. So that's a good thing. There won't be any confusion there if you're a big fan of the movies. But also they're in color. If you're wanting to know what these comics look like in color, we have Aliens. This one was called Asylum War or Nightmare Asylum and Earth War. And these two series in here, these two miniseries, are included in the Epic Collection. And this has art by Den Bovas. I can't recognize that name there. You can see it in the middle there. Mark Verheiden is still the writer, who totally gets these characters and stuff. So this is what it's like a painted artwork on these early series. Trying to find there's a good Xenomorph killing a guy picture. So really cool painted artwork. I don't know what this is on matte paper though, so I don't know what it's going to look like in the Epic Collection. Those are usually done with glossy paper. The second series in here though, Earth War, had art by Sam Keith, which Real American Brian, I know if you're still in the chat, I know you're a Sam Keith fan. So it's Sam Keith doing a Xenomorph. This is some of his early stuff. Even doing some playing around with the idea of seeing the Xenomorph on a television screen. That's why it looks all fuzzy in that picture. Just some awesome comics. Sorry, I'm getting distracted here. But yeah, so both those hardcovers are pretty much included in the Epic Collection. I think that looking at the contents, it looks like there's maybe some issues. Let me start sharing again. All right. Looking at the contents down below. So Aliens 1 through 6 is what is included in the black hardcover that I showed off. Aliens 1 through 4 and Aliens Earth War 1 through 4. Those are both in the blue hardcover I just showed off. The only difference here is Dark Horse Presents 24 is in one of those hardcovers, but 42, 43 is not. So I think this Epic Collection actually includes 2 short comics that were in the Dark Horse Presents, which used to be like an anthology back in the day. If you're not familiar, Dark Horse Presents was like I don't know how often they released it, maybe once a month, but it included like short strips that were either like previews to comics or like in between stories of some of the comics they were doing. Like I know Concrete was in there. Sin City debuted in one of the Dark Horse Presents issues. Aliens was in it, obviously. And I'm trying to think of something else that was in there that was real big. I know the American was, but that's not a big character. But it's another Mike Verheiden written story. But yes, Aliens comics, awesome. Perfect for any horror fans or fans of the Aliens movies. Moving on, we have some manga here. This is Kataro, classic manga collection graphic novel. So I have read Kataro. I read the first volume, and this is by Shigeru Mizuki, and this is published by Drawn and Quarterly. This was a really fun series, and I wanted to pick up more of the tankobons because I just had the short little tankobons. But then I saw Drawn and Quarterly is releasing these bigger volumes, like oversized, and I might have to pick these up because Shigeru Mizuki's artwork is really fun. This story, though, Kataro is like the one-eyed boy there you see in that on the cover there, and it's a horror comic, but it's like an all ages horror comic, so it's not like super scary, but it explores all the folk tales of Japanese yokai, which is like ghosts, spirits, if you will. So this includes 12 stories. I need to look more into this. I think this might be the first two tankobons, because I've seen an image of this. Someone posted a picture of it, and they're like oversized. Like they look to be, don't quote me on this, don't hold me to this, but it looks to be like the same size as the Berserk Dark Horse Deluxe hardcovers, like that oversized, which is, that's like standard size almost for Western comics, but for manga that's oversized. But these are really fun stories. If you're into like horror, or you're into like spooky, like I'm trying to think of like an easy example, like Tim Burton, maybe like Tim Burton era, like Nightmare Before Christmas, like that kind of stuff, as far as like all ages but still kind of spooky. That's the kind of material you'll see here. I was gonna start reading it with my son, but he scares easy, so I don't want to scare him off too bad. But maybe one day. But this could be fun for your kid if they're into scary things. I never know. It's always up to the parent. I know kids that are my son's age that watch Stranger Things, and I think that's crazy to me, but who knows? This one is 20% off. You can get it for $23.96, which is a savings of $5.99. Oh, I didn't have it pulled up. I'm sorry. I keep doing this thing where it's only showing off my main tab. I keep clicking next tab. Real quickly, I just want to show the cover there. A little bit closer. There you go. So yes, that one-eyed boy is Kataro. The classic Japanese manga, which is some of my favorite mangas, like the old stuff. Then we have Metabaron Book 4, The Bastard and the Proto-Guardianess hardcover. So this is Alejandro Jodorowsky is an amazing writer. Most known from him are the Incal and the Metabaron. I've collected all of his hardcovers. So I have every Metabaron story, every Incal story, and all the Jodorowsky libraries that have come out so far, because Humanoids is who publishes this. They've been releasing the Jodorowsky library, which includes like all of his stories. My image there shut down on me. But now Jodorowsky is in his 90s, and he has now licensed out the Incal universe to other people. So far, where is it? So the book that you're looking at here, the Metabaron, book 4, is actually it's the 4th book in the Metabaron line. I'm trying to make this not confusing, but it's the 2nd book that is coming out of the Incal universe that is not written by Jodorowsky. The first one just came out recently. Okay, and it's the Psychoverse, and this takes place right before the Incal. Like the last image in this book is like the first image of the Incal, so like it butts right up against the Incal story. And this was written by Mark Russell with art by Yannick Paquette and Dave McCaig. So this is really fun, and they're like these slim hardcovers. The reason why I'm showing this off is because I'm assuming the Metabaron book 4 that we're looking at will be very similar to this. But if you're not familiar with Incal, the Incal universe, the easy summation of it is that it Jodorowsky back in the day was trying to adapt Dune, like the old, like the movie Dune just came out. The who writes Dune? I can't remember. Someone let me know in the comments or chat. But the old Dune was like the first like huge epic sci-fi novel, or one of the first like big ones. Like the modern era sci-fi epics that you think of, like Star Wars and whatnot. Dune predated that. So Jodorowsky wanted to adapt it into a film. He had Mobius on storyboards. He had H.R. Geiger on designs. This incredible thing. There's a documentary about this project that never came to fruition. He had Pink Floyd on the film score. He had Salvador Dali was getting paid like $1 million per minute of film that he was going to be in. Just this epic thing that never came to fruition. So Jodorowsky scrapped it because there was no studio that wanted to pick it up, and he then transferred a lot of those ideas, not directly, but a lot of those ideas into the Incal, and then later the Metabaron. But the book that came out with the storyboards and the ideas and the scripts and everything for the Dune film adaptation got passed around a lot of film studios, and that is why people assume a lot of those same concepts showed up in movies like Star Wars or like The Fifth Element. I'm trying to think of other sci-fi movies that kind of borrowed ideas from it. I think those are the two big ones, Star Wars and The Fifth Element. Fifth Element for sure did. So if you're into Star Wars, you're into Fifth Element, these might be for you. Metabaron Book 4, this takes place, it looks like the last Metabaron. So you might want to read the first ones. If you're wanting an introduction to the Ecal, into the Jodoverse, they call it, which is just like all the sci-fi comics that Jodorowsky came up with kind of tie into each other in some fashion. The easiest entry points are sorry, I was looking at the chat. The easiest entry points are the Incal or the Metabaron, like the first Metabaron's book, which I can show off here, actually. Let me grab it real fast. Oh, no, I don't have the first... the first Metabaron's actually by my bed because I'm rereading it right now. But the Incal... Let me see if we have this in stock first, because this could be a good thing to show off. Bear with me here. Incal. Because if you like, you can start with Metabarons or you can start with Incal. Either one, you're not going to be lost. But the Incal was the first story to be released. So if you're wanting to start like chronologically by how the whole thing came together, maybe go that route. I'm trying to see if we have this in stock because this just came out. No, it's out of stock. Dang. All right. Well, then I don't want to show off because I don't want to show off something we don't have in stock. But you can find the regular story. I wonder if that's in stock, actually. Just like the regular hardcover, because that's an affordable way of going about this. You go. Oh, we have it in trade paperback. Okay, here we go. Let's do this. I can show this off because we do have some version of it in stock. I'll show off the artwork then, not the bells and whistles of the slipcase. But the Incal is drawn by Mobius, which is like one of the greatest, most influential comic book artists ever. So let me scroll down here. All right, so if the screen you're looking at there, we have it in hardcover for $35.95, and then we have the trade paperback for $22.49. Those are both ways to dive into the Incal. So let me stop sharing for a minute and then show off this great artwork from Mobius. So one of the most iconic scenes, from the Incal is the main character there diving down like hundreds of stories down out of this window to evade the police. That's one of the iconic scenes of Fifth Element that they borrowed from. Try to find some more good images here that are safe for work. But Mobius is another one of those artists that just had like insane levels of detail. But he also was part of the here's the Meta Baron. The guy in the middle there is the Meta Baron character. Try and get the glare off the screen there. He also had like the clear line store of his art. He had the clear line, the clair ligne, I think it's called in French, where he was able to draw like great figure drawings and great images with just a few lines, but then all around this he would have these insane levels of detail. I don't know, I'm probably saying that in like the dumbest way possible, but some more of the artwork. So it's a great science fiction. If you're into science fiction and like higher concept ideas, you've got to read the Incal. Real quickly. All right. Sandwichism says, sorry, I was playing Zelda. Oh, that's fine. And then, yes, Frank Herbert wrote Dune. Thank you. That is correct. Thank you, Brian. All right, let's share the screen again and get back to what we were talking about. Just had to go on a little tangent about Jodorowsky because he is one of the most fascinating comic book writers, in my opinion. And I love everything I've read from him. All right, we're back here. That's a good way to get into the Incal universe if you're wanting to get into it. Is that hardcover or trade paperback? All right, trying to get back to next week's releases here. Here we are. And we were on the Meta Baron book. So yes, the Meta Baron book 4, The Bastard and the Proto-Guardianess hardcover comes out next week. It's $22.45 on CGN. Then we have John Carpenter's Tales of Sci-Fi Interference Pattern trade paperback. I know I'm familiar with John Carpenter, the great filmmaker, but I don't know what this is. Looks like the writer is Dennis Calero, and the artist looks like to be Janice Chang. This sci-fi horror experiment is faster than light travel. Goes terribly wrong. Unintended side effects will drop pilot David Peeler into a living nightmare when alternate versions of himself start appearing. Each one more deranged than the last. That sounds really awesome. Let me know if anybody's read this. I don't know if it's been previously released in single issues or anything. But I do love horror comics, and sci-fi horror is one of my favorite like subgenres of that. Hence why I love Aliens so much. But this looks to be right in line with that. Yeah, I want to read this. So this is published by Storm King Productions. You can get it for $19.99 at Cheap Graphic Novels next week. Then we have Ms. Davis hardcover. This is from Fantagraphics. And as always with Fantagraphics books, because they are my favorite publisher, I'm going to show off some of the interiors and whatnot. Oh, we've got Omni Buddy in the house. Hey, Omni Buddy, what's going on? What's going on, Taylor? I'm just here talking comics. That's what I'm doing. What are you up to? Thanks for joining us, though. This is Ms. Davis. Writer is Sybil De La Croix, and artist is Amazing Amaziane. Oh man, I'm butchering those names. But this is the follow-up to their New York Times best-selling graphic biography of Muhammad Ali. The acclaimed French writer and artist duo tell the story of Black activist, professor, and prison abolitionist Angela Davis. So I do have some interiors to show off from this because, like I said, Fantagraphics is my favorite publisher, and one thing that I love that they do on their website is they always show off interiors to the comics. So whenever I can show those off, I'm going to. If it'll load up the screen here. That way you can get a feel for the artwork that you're going to see inside the book, and make a more sound decision on if you want to purchase it I wish more companies did this. So this is the first interior pages. This looks really cool. It reminds me of Chris Eliopoulos, who is the artist that designed like Xavier Riddle. Xavier Riddle? Yeah. Xavier Riddle and the Secret Museums. I had to sing the intro song in my head. The story that's on PBS, or the cartoon, and the designs were very much inspired by Bill Watterson. Thank you. Jeez. Of Calvin and Hobbes fame. That's what this kind of reminds me of. These pages are blank. It might just be my internet though. It's not loading them up. But there you are. You can see, get a feel for the artwork there. Looks very like comic strip-esque, very cool looking. And it says there's a date of 1978 on there. So this might be older material. I don't know. Let me know if you have more info on that. But it looks pretty cool. So that's Ms. Davis, a graphic biography done by the amazing New York Times best-selling French duo. Then we have Flavor Girls hardcover. This is from Boom Studios. The writer is, oh my gosh, these names, I can't pronounce these. Loic Locatelli Kornowski. That's the best I can do. But this looks to be an all ages comic, it looks like. And it is a group of girls with magic involved. So maybe it's a fantasy comic. Fantasy all ages. If there's any of these comics that I don't know a lot about and you do, don't hesitate to with your thoughts on it. I would love to talk about any of these more, maybe learn a little bit more about them. This is Oja Waja. I don't know what that is. Publisher Balzer and Bray. About 8th graders Val and Lainey. They're the best of best friends and they love the same comics, the same shows. Well, that's cool. But then there's hometown supernatural history leads to a for-real ghost sighting. This looks like an all ages horror mystery or whatever. It says on the cover, a horror mystery or whatever. So that looks pretty fun. Get back to the. All right. Then we have Last Man Volume 2. This is from Skybound, I believe, right? Yeah, Image Comics and Skybound. This is a French comic that was done in the style of like manga, like fight comic manga or shonen manga. But it was done in France. And then it was released in America in graphic novel formats, kind of like, again, like manga. But it didn't finish out. Like it only went like a couple of volumes and then they didn't finish printing it in English. And now Robert Kirkman of Skybound has taken this series and I think he said it's like one of his best or his favorite comics ever. He loves it. So he's now publishing it through his imprint with Image. This is right here, perfect for readers of Invincible and Ultra Mega. So it's one that I've been interested in because I just like that concept of doing like an homage to manga. Killlock, Artisan, Wraith. This is from IDW Publishing. Writer and artist is Livio Ramondelli. Livio Ramondelli was a writer and artist from Transformers, the IDW era. And this is a sequel to the cult hit story of a robotic society where criminals are bound by a Killlock, where if one dies, they all do. Through masterful manipulation, the brilliant and psychopathic Artisan took over an unbreakable Wraith body, saving his lockmates in the process. So, sci-fi, robots, maybe a little bit of horror involved there. That looks like a sequel. I think I've heard of Killlock now that I think about it, but I've never read it. Illusion Witch. Cover here looks cool. Looks like an old style movie poster. Oh, it's by Sumerian. That's why the cover looks like that. Sumerian's awesome. So Sumerian Comics used to be called Behemoth. So if you're familiar with Behemoth, the Sumerian was like an entertainment property or sorry, entertainment company, I guess, bought out Behemoth, and hence why it's called Sumerian now. But I think they dabble on a lot of like video games and stuff. So this is like their first comic book publishing effort. I haven't read this series, but I've read some other Sumerian series. Like Pop Gun Assassin was awesome. That was not Pop Gun Assassin, sorry, Pop Star Assassin was what it's called. But it had like movie poster-esque covers too, so that's what this makes me think of. This one has like your heroine character right here, and then your. Can you see my cursor on the screen? You can. Okay. You get the monster in the top left there, and then some warrior with a giant sword here, some archer down in the bottom right. The cover alone looks awesome. The Illusion Witch, which tells the story of Idea Locke, a world-famous illusionist, traumatized by the loss of her father and son. She has become a cold and disconnected form from reality, transported into Sari, a fantasy world filled with magic and danger. That looks pretty cool. That's only $14.99 at CGN next week. We have Evita, the life and work of Eva Peron. So this is the next Fantagraphics book I want to show off the interiors for. This is a sequel to the experimental graphic biography of Che Guevara. And this is or Che Guevara. I might be saying that wrong, but he's the, Che, like he's like the famous leader from I'm going to butcher this, from Argentina, I think, maybe. I don't know. But the artist and writer is Hector Herman Osterheld and Alberto Brescia. Those two worked on, because Fantagraphics has like the Brescia library, the Alberto Brescia library, and they so here's the cover. Evita, the life and work of Eva Peron. I'm trying to find, what's the name of the book? It's going to kill me. I'm just going to look it up because it's going to drive me nuts. Alberto Brescia. Like a landscape size, and it's like one of the Latin comics ever. The Eternaut, thank you. So he did Eternaut, he did Priamus, and he did Mort Cinder. Those have all been released by Fantagraphics previously. And then he did the Che Guevara autobiography that was released by Fantagraphics, and this is the Evita one. This is the spiritual sequel, if you will, to that story. And here's some of the interiors. He has like this like insane level of like photorealism in his art style, but like he was doing this in like the 70s and stuff. So these are older comics, but they're black and white, and you can see there's the style of words. There's obviously large paragraphs with the panels there on the interiors, but Brescia and Osterheld are just great storytellers and great duo of comics. The Eternaut, the one I couldn't think of the name of, is an amazing story. If you're going to try out one Brescia tale, one Brescia comic, I would definitely recommend that. Priamus is really good. I have that hardcover somewhere. I didn't prepare for that one to have that on hand. And then Mort Cinder is really good too. That one delves into a lot of like religious mythos and stuff, or ideologies. But you can get Evita for $14.99 next Monday. Then we have Deadpool by Kelly Thompson. This includes the entire Kelly Thompson run with art by Chris Bacalo. My favorite, like big two art he did. Generation X, like the original Generation X run. I don't know why this picture's not loading. He did. The Nonstop Spider-Man was a recent run he did. But I love Chris Bacalo's art, and it seems to always kind of evolve too throughout the years, but it still keeps that same signature Bacalo style. He did the art on Doctor Strange by Jason Aaron, Omnibus. And so, yeah, he's the artist on this. And I think it's only ran 10 issues. So Deadpool 1 through 10. This is like the most recent Deadpool series, if you will. Like Deadpool for a huge had a huge girth of comics and miniseries constantly coming out in the 2000s, and then this came out, and then they kind of slowed down. I think they just recently started a new Deadpool series. I think they're on issue 2 or 3 of that. But this is by Kelly Thompson. I heard this was really good. Kelly Thompson gets a lot of praise for her writing, and then it's got Chris Bachalo art, so you can't go wrong with that. But it's only $14.99 and includes 10 issues. Let's get into the chat here. Omni Buddy is just writing his works newsletter and chilling. Awesome. And then he also wrote, why is this not loading? There we go. I'm slowly getting into Fantagraphics more since I'm beginning to exhaust the Magnetic Press catalog. Yes, I know. Omnibuddy, if you want to know anything about Magnetic Press, go to his channel. He is all about Magnetic Press, and they're most known for, I guess, having the rounded corners on the hardcovers. I haven't read a lot of Magnetic Press, but their books always look awesome. They're a lot of European comics, which I'm into and I dig. So I do need to dive more into that. But Fantagraphics, Omnibuddy, I know you're a huge fan of Usagi Yojimbo, so I know you have that slipcase for sure. But yeah, I love Fantagraphics. It's my favorite publisher. I can talk about them all day. Up next, we got Deathstroke. Deathstroke Inc. Volume 2, Year 1, hardcover. Kind of a confusing title. Volume 2, Year 1. But this is from Joshua Williamson, and artist is Paolo Pantalena. Doesn't tell you what issues this collects, but it's Volume 2. You can be assured of that. And it's $14.99 at CGN next week. Then we have Seven Sons. Oh, this is Jay Lee. This is his new comic. Jay Lee, awesome artist from the 90s. His most famous comics from back then, I would say, would be he did the Namor series in the 90s. He worked with Image. He's one of the first Image. I think I don't know if he's one of the founding fathers, one of the first 7. But I do know his first series with Image was delayed quite a bit from coming out because he had some family issues and whatnot. But Jay Lee also did the Inhumans storyline, and he did a short 4-issue series of Fantastic Four for Marvel Knights 2, I believe. But an awesome artist regardless. And this is his new series that he's pumping out called Seven Sons. And on the writing team, you got Robert Wyndham and Kelvin Mao. It collects Seven Sons 1 through 7. This is Jay Lee's first new title since 1994. His first creator-owned series since 1994. It includes the entirety. Okay, so this is a one and done. It's the only book you need. There won't be a volume 2. But that's a fun horror series. That's something you're into. Any Jay Lee fans in the chat? And we have Pandora Perfect. This is a fun all-ages comic. From Rebellion 2000 AD. Oh, Roger Langridge. Holy crap. Roger Langridge is the writer. Wow. I saw this earlier when I was looking through the catalog before I jumped on the show. And the title or the cover looked awesome. But Roger Langridge, so he's the writer. He wrote, he did a lot of underground comics coming up in the day. What's a clown series he does? Not Ed the Happy Clown. That's not that one. It's Ed the Happy Clown is not his. Roger Lang. Then he went on to do one of my favorite books from him is the Muppets Omnibus. He wrote that, which people joke about that Muppets Omnibus because it was liquidated to heck and stuff, but that's an awesome omnibus. I always advocate for that one. It's so much fun, especially if you're in the old Muppet Show, which I know Brian. I know you're in the chat. You're a huge fan of Muppets, and you have that omnibus. So Fred the Clown, that's what it's called. Fred the Clown. Is a series he did. But that Muppets Omnibus is the old Muppet Show, but done in comic, a new version of it done in comic book form. So it's all the jokes and stuff from the Muppet Show of them being on a show, doing a variety show. He does the same things, but it's in comic book form, so like those same tropes about them being in a comics kind of in there. And then like just like it was really like Marvel just gave Roger Langridge free reign. They're like, just do a Muppets comic and do whatever the heck you want. So he just like went to town. So there's a lot of just like short strips too, like the old Muppet Show of like the variety show where you have it's like SNL, you have a sketch here, sketch there. It's just like him doing those with different characters. He gets the voices of the characters really well. But yeah, so I was an advocate for the omnibus. People joke about it, but I think it's great. Roger Langridge, though, he did Fred the Clown, was like his old kind of comic strip he did for like the Undergrounds back in the day. That's been reprinted by Fantagraphics as well. And then recently, Roger Langridge wrote the Goon series. So, or did the art for it? He was the artist on it. Sorry, because I always blank on these names. Eric Powell wrote them, but Roger Langridge did the art for him. As Eric Powell is when he was running his own Albatross Comics. He didn't have time to be drawing Goon stories, so he had Roger Langridge draw them. And then since then, Eric Powell's back with Dark Horse. But my point is, Roger Langridge is a funny artist. He or funny writer and awesome artist. He's not doing art on this comic that we're looking at, but he is writing it. He also wrote the Thor series that people really liked. That's being reprinted in a trade paperback, which I want to read because it's supposed to be like a fun all ages like romp of like adventure. And he wrote that, so I want to pick that up when it gets reprinted, which is coming out soon. But the book we're looking at, that long diatribe, Pandora Perfect, says not your regular babysitter. Pandora Perfect, the hilarious criminal mastermind, crash lands into her very own collection. For when criminal genius, sometimes babysitter, an all-around bad one, Pandora Perfect is broken out of prison by her faithful robot Gort. No one's valuables are safe. That looks like a lot of fun. It looks like an all-ages story, and judging by her outfit there, it looks like it takes place in maybe the late 1800s, but then you have robots. That combination sounds fun too. But you can get that for $13.59 on the CGN website next week. And that, again, like I said, was published by Rebellion 2000 AD. We're nearing the end here. If my page will load. A little frozen here. Okay, here we go. Let's scroll down. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments too. If you want to know if any books are in stock or whatnot, I can answer those. Let me know what comic books you've been reading lately, that kind of stuff. Up next, we have Parker Girls Volume 1, Dead Quiet. So this is the new Terry Moore series from Abstract Studios, which is Terry Moore's studio. And it collects Parker Girls 1 through 5. I'm not the... Tambi will help the only girl you love Kachu. So this must be Stranger... Oh my gosh. The worst. I'm drawing blanks all day today. Stranger... What's the Stranger thing? Someone help me. My internet's too slow. Terry Moore, though, was a Strangers in Paradise. Okay, I got it. Strangers in Paradise is like the most famous series that Terry Moore is known for. I've only read the first couple of volumes of that in like the old, like they released like old digest size, like they look like tankobon almost from like manga. I've read the first 2 volumes of that, and I dug it, but I think Love and Rockets, Strangers in Paradise was very much influenced by Love and Rockets from the Hernandez brothers, and I'm always loved from what I've read of Strangers in Paradise. It always just felt like another version of that, I guess. But I know it's Terry Moore. I know I'm of the minority. Terry Moore has a huge fan base, huge fan following. And Parker Girls, just the name there, Kachu, tells me that this takes place in that same universe of Strangers in Paradise. And this looks to be volume 1 of that. and it's only $12.74 next week. Apologies to Terry Moore and any of his fans. I totally butchered which comic book he wrote, and then So if you're a Terry Moore fan and you're picking that up, let me know. And if you feel like I need to keep reading Strangers in Paradise, that it's going to get better after those first 2 volumes, I'm willing to give it a shot. Then we have Dungeons & Dragons Ravenloft Orphan of Agony Isle. That's $12.59. House on Fire by Matt Battaglia. Oh, this is from Living the Line. So we talked about one of their releases a couple weeks ago. This is their next release, it looks like. It's a debut graphic novel from writer-artist Matt Battaglia. Hopefully I'm not butchering that. I know I probably am, though. The cover looks awesome. So you get that for $11.99 next week. We have Forever Maps graphic novel for $11.99. That is by Scout Comics. Michael Lagacci is the writer. And then I think we have one more here. My screen will load. Revolvers, Volume 1. This is $11.89 next week. By all accounts, Detective Hampton of Wales is a good cop but a complicated man. And when he dies under unusual circumstances, he finds that things are as any less complicated. By Image Comics, Revolvers, 1 through 4, Volume 1 trade paperback. It collects issues 1 through 4. Sorry. And then we have the Aja Waja in trade paperback form. So next week, it's by one of the publishers that releases the hardcover and the trade paperback the same day. So take your pick. If you just want the trade paperback, you can go that route. If you want the hardcover, you can go that route as well. I don't know what's happening here. Sorry, my internet is slowing down on me. Just going to reload that page. So I had like one or two more books to show off before the show's over. And of course, my internet's going to start acting up. Okay, this is really cramping my style here. While this is loading, just to reiterate, these books will be live on the website of cheapgraphicnovels.com. They'll be live on there for sale next Monday evening. And again, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at CheapGN. I always make a post whenever they're live for sale right away. So the minute that Max from CGN sends me that text says the books are live, I put up that post and let you know when you can do your shopping. And yeah, so get in there Monday night. Okay. Start buying these. We still have the massive Marvel Omnibus sale going on too. I've been making posts about that. So be sure to look at cheapgraphicnovels.com. It's on the front page there. You get Marvel Omnibuses for up to 60% off. And then here we are. We're back. Dark Ride, trade paperback volume 1. This horror series feels right at home with horror classics like Creepshow. So that looks fun. I'm going to try not to click on this because my internet crapped out and we're going a little long here. So I'm going to try to get you guys out of here. Next is X-Men Red by Al Ewing, volume 2. This is the Krakoa era of X-Men that Jonathan Hickman started. Al Ewing's picking up with X-Men Red on this series. That's volume 2. This is $9.59 next week. We have Variants trade paperback from Marvel. That's also $9.59. Sherlock Scandal in Belgravia Part 2 trade paperback. This is the second part of the manga adaptation of the 4th Sherlock BBC episode, printed in English for the first time. So you just see the cover there. That looks like Benedict Cumberbatch on the top left there. But this is a manga adaptation of the 4th Sherlock BBC episode. That's just interesting that they have a manga adaptation of a specific episode, but cool nonetheless. Let me know if you've read this. But that's only $9.09. We have Bruce Wayne, Not Super, trade paperback. This is one of those all ages graphic novels from DC Comics. And it looks like Bruce Wayne as a child dealing with the fact that he does not have superpowers. That's only $7.79 next week. We have American Jesus, Volume 3, Revelation. This is the Mark Miller series with art by Peter Gross. This is Volume 3. I believe this is going to be a Netflix adaptation as well. I don't know. Aren't all Mark Miller comics being adapted by Netflix? This is a Volume 3 trade paperback, and it's only $6.99. Then we're going to finish off with Gloric Patrol, Volume 3, Gloric Patrol and the Magic Robot. So this is James Kochalka, which I love. These are kids comics. James Kochalka was like a modern underground cartoonist that did a lot of, well, some of his earlier comics are for adults, but since then he's kind of adapted the style. It's very much for kids. My son loves these comics. Any sort of James Kochalka comic he grabs. And this is from IDW Publishing, Volume 3. They're also really quick reads, so like your kids can pick them up and read them in one sitting. But they're just like funny and silly and have crazy artwork and stuff. So fun stuff for the kids. Always gotta do what you can to get your kids into comics, and that's one of the good gateway comics for them. But yes, we have usually we had some internet issues. We had me forgetting people's names and comic book names. But what can you do? I appreciate you guys for joining us. This has been Cheap Graphic Novels. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up. I appreciate that. And also subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Share the channel with your friends. Like we said, we just hit our goal last week of 100 subscribers, which was awesome to do that in the first 3 weeks with only having pretty much live content on the channel. So I was happy with that. Our next goal is obviously 200. So let's try to get to 200 by, I don't know, let's say April. And the only way we can do that is with you guys sharing with your friends. So I'm responsible for all the social media content and video content for Cheap Graphic Novels, and I love doing it. And anything you guys can do to help me is by sharing it. And I love talking comics, hence the name Taylor Talks Comics. And I love talking to any of you guys about comics on any of those platforms. So thank you for joining us. We'll be live again next week to talk about the following week's releases. But hit us up on social media, CheapGN, to see some posts about these books as well. And we also are working on a newsletter. So there's going to be a newsletter coming out pretty soon that I'll be able to write some editorial stuff about. I'm excited about that. My background is in writing, so I can't wait to dabble a little bit in some comic book writing as far as like promoting comic books and talking about the comic books I love. So thank you for joining us. Have a good day. We'll see you next time.